So we'll just move on to just a little bit of, there's that E5 that you can test your guitar on when you go home. So let's look at the day-to-day care. So after a guitar's played, it's really, really good if you can wipe your strings down.
I'll put the truss rod cover back on. Thanks, Ben. Thank you.
I'll show them. Do you want to show them how to wipe the strings down?
Well, you can, son. I'll put the truss rod cover after you've done it.
All right.
Day spa department.
So there are some people that don't like doing this, and they're very busy at church and everything if they're worship pastors. So we recommend that you try and find some youth who are really looking to be on the platform, and get them to join the team and serve as well. So what we do is you get yourself a big roll of kitchen paper here, put in wherever the guitars are, wherever you get your guitars out, and then after they've been played, after the service, you grab the kitchen towel and then you just start with the E string and you just wipe. You grab it underneath and you wipe it up once, second string, same thing. See how quick it is? And as you do that, if you grab underneath, you're also wiping the fingerboard. So do it within 15 minutes of you playing, and then any wet stuff will come off as well. Right, so you do that, then you wipe the top of the strings. So it's really important to get underneath. Then you wipe down the face with that and then throw it away. Don't use a rag because the rag gets the stuff on it, and then you wipe it again and it wipes on again.
You just keep putting it back on.
So paper towel's a really good thing to have.
Would you take it off stage after a sermon? So like we've got a 40-minute sermon before we then go back on, so you just take it off?
No.
You can leave it on the platform.
Yeah, leave it on the platform.
We know you're going to ascend back and then do the closing song, so that's fine. But once you come off, it's not like dash out to lunch, throw your guitar in the car. It's like do the wipe down.
Yeah,
okay.
Or get someone. We suggested this at Soul Survivor, and Tom Smith's guitar now is amazing. He has there's two or three people that roster on to wipe down the guitarists at the end of each service, because they do like 4 or 5 services a day or something, you know. So they're always racing up doing it. So it's really good for youth. So you can use also Ernie Ball wipes as well. So also avoiding moisture and humidity. It's really important not to let your guitars get damp, and that can happen here. These are guitars that I've actually seen this in Cambodia, where the wood gets all mouldy and mildewy because they leave it out, and there's so much relative humidity. Northern Queensland as well, in Australia, they can get like that. But if your guitars do get damp, if there's a lot of rain around, you can put a dehumidifier in your case, and it can also pull up at the side
Silica
there like
bags
that.
also work.
Yep, silica bags do. So be careful with dehydration. That's a big problem here. We've seen a lot of fingerboards that are really chalky, really, really dry, and it can be from central heating. So even if you leave it in the case and you leave it near the central heating, it still can get can still dry out. Even putting your guitar in the case and the sun shines in the window on the case, we've seen damage like that in Australia. And with the way the weather is at the moment,
the first year we were here, we did a Collings that had a split in the face, and it was hung over the top of a radiator, an English radiator in the winter. Didn't think about it. And what happened is the water in the face, because obviously the lacquer on the outside is permeable, but on the inside, of course, it's completely raw. It had essentially cooked the guitar on the barbecue, and the water evacuated and shrank and split the top open. So we had to put a sponge in a soap box, punched holes in it, and leave it in there for 48 hours, and the whole thing just closed up, and then you can do the repair. So all guitars are hygroscopic, like we are. They take in and push out water all the time. So casing
is really, really important.
It's really important.
Keep your babies in the case, because all the dust gets down here on electrics. It gets really dusty. So that's why you're given a case, or you buy a good case, is to keep it in it. You saw this because I pressed the wrong button. Yeah, take a photo.
Hang the photo.
Take a photo. It's not. Guitars are not designed to be hung by the neck.
No.
Neither are we. Neither are babies, right? So if you think of your guitar as a baby, you'll look after it. You'll never leave it in the car. You'll never leave it in the boot. You'll never leave it in the sun. You'll always look after it and keep it in the case. Really, really, really important.
What's that say to like every guitar store in the world?
Oh, well,
Okay.
they're being sold.
So they're being sold.
sold.
And yes, there are problems. The
Yeah.
store that I contracted to in Sydney is it's Collings, it's all top end, and Larave's, you name it. Room humidifiers are very cheap now, and you predestine them. They're filled with water, and you set them to 55% relative humidity. So whether it goes up or whether it goes down, if it goes up, obviously there's a heating element in there that warms the air and brings down the relative humidity. If it goes dry, there's like a mist, a spray, a literally warm spray that then, like a kettle, that then spits it out and keeps the room regulated. So they had 4 of them in the store. And you will find that if you go to a high-end, in America, if you go to high-end classical stores and you're spending big money, the room will be humidified. Totally. You go to any major factory where the woods are stored and where there's guitar crafting being done, it's humidified, humidity controlled.
Okay.
So this is just giving you an indication.
So, yep.
About that stand, so with hanging, the guitar hangs on that stand, so is that like a bad stand?
Well, it's
No.
not if you're on the stage.
Not if you're on the stage,
and
it's
you're putting
fine.
That's fine.
It's fine.
The stands are fine, and the ones the A-frame ones. But when you finish playing, just put it away. That's all. That's all we're saying.
Don't lean them. How should you?
Fly, Hiscox.
You
You've got
need a
the
flight
best.
case. I mean, I just got a photograph from really good guitarists in the States. He sent me a photograph just as we landed in England, and a picture of an R7 Gibson custom shop with P90s gold top. Can this be repaired? And the headstock had completely broken off and sheared backwards. And I said to Cameron, he said, I've been flying around on little flights all around the States, touring for 4 months. And he showed me the case, and I said, what are you doing flying around in a wooden Gibson case? I said, you need a Hiscox, or you need a Carlton, or you need a flight case. And of course, he'd left it in full tune, and he hadn't balled the headstock, and it was just a matter of time before somebody on a plane threw it off, or dropped it, or it fell over in the case and whiplashed. And of course, the headstock straight off. So it's repairable. With a Hiscox, which is a brilliant case made in England, it's just a great case to fly with. When you are flying with an angled headstock, which is any acoustic, any Les Paul, SG, anything like that, don't completely slacken the strings. You just take the strings down a step, so all down the step, and then get a T-shirt or bubble wrap and ball the headstock. I use T-shirts, just ball the headstock. Close the case, the Hiscox. Don't ever lock it, because security and customs will leverage it open, suspecting that there's something in there that shouldn't be in there. So just leave it and fly that way, and you'll never, ever, ever have an issue with whiplash. And you can fly with Fenders, basses and electrics, anything with a flat headstock, any of the guitars that are made. You can fly in a mono bag, you can fly in a blues reunion bag. They can't kill or break or snap a Fender neck. They have to physically stand on it against a leverage, so they're indestructible Fenders, any of those flat headstock guitars.
So can we just talk about accessories and things to add to the sound of your guitar? Because that's what we're about getting the sound right and releasing the sound of heaven across the United Kingdom, which is really important. So let's talk about capos. All worship musicians are using capos. Have a look at these ones. These are all adjustable ones, so you can adjust the tension according to what sort of guitar you have. The Kaiser ones, that you just go ding like that, and it just goes.
Or the Dunlop.
Or the Dunlop, yeah. They're not adjustable, so you're actually you can pull the strings out of tune.
Sure.
They're not terribly great. All right, so look at these ones. There's Planet Waves and the Shub ones. But the best ones we've come across are the G7. I know they're expensive, but they last forever and ever and ever.
This is the new ART, which you can put on any fingerboard, be it a classical guitar, a 7.25, 9.5 electric, 14, 12. The mechanism, and they're from Peterborough as well, they're English. So
Yeah. And he's a Christian.
good call. Christian family as well, Christian company.
Yeah. So also having a look at your amp, if you use amps,
Tube amps.
tube amps, make sure you get them serviced because they need regular servicing as well. So so you've got your guitar all serviced and ready to go, new strings and everything, and it's not going to be good if your tube amp is not serviced. And then also looking at the leads that you use. Again, you're spending good money on guitar, on an amp, and then you go and buy a £30 lead. You're not going to be able to get the best sound from your guitar through that cheap lead out. So have a look at...
There's a company in England that you have, it's brilliant, it's called Shootout Cables or Shootout Leads. They have a great website. They use the same cable I make cables with in Australia, and that is SOMER, S-O-M-M-E-R, German. It's a German cable. It is the lowest capacitance cable on earth. This particular, and what I mean by capacitance, cheap cables have a very high capacitance, and if you have a very high capacitance, all of your treble notes or your treble sibilance is sent to ground. So the actual guitar sound connection to your amp is actually very nasally, very mid-rangey, not a lot of sparkle going on. If you have very low capacitance, which this cable has, you've got the full spectrum for everything that you've paid for with your pickups, with your setup. You're getting everything that you can control 100%. So SOMER, and it's used exclusively by Shootout Cables. They do custom cables, but more importantly, their page, if you want to know about capacitance, it's an absolutely brilliant description. These lads have gone way down the cable rabbit hole, and it's fascinating, and I commend anybody who's interested in understanding cables and the significance of cables, and also pedal patches, patch leads. You guys most people around the world are using lava cables, which is non-solder, it's solderless, it bites in, it's a screw attachment. That ultimately will fail because there's no soldering joint or therefore no silver solder attached to it. So eventually it will oxidise. That joint will oxidise because it's in the presence of air and moisture. It's exposed.
Yep.
So and that's where you have all the trouble with, my pedal board's playing up, I'm going to take it to a guy. You've got to have soldered patch leads, which are very expensive, but you'll only buy them once in your life.
Okay, so if you have a cheap electric and you haven't got the money to upgrade to a really expensive one, there are options that you can use to make it sound better. Mm-hmm. And even with the Strat or the Tele that you have, or whatever you have, you can add titanium saddles, KTS titanium saddles. Beautiful sound. The sound of the notes just rings, and the sustain on them is beautiful.
They don't rust or oxidise.
No, and the cost of them ranges between...
pressed saddles in England's about £50 a set. The blocks are the most expensive. They're about £125 a set.
But that's nothing like buying a new guitar.
And you can get the inserts also for saddle inserts for all metric and non-metric Les Paul SG type bridges. And Shala now have joined with KTS out of Japan, Hiroshi Masuda's company. You can now buy all Shala bridges that are available, and you can ask for a KTS upgrade.
Yep.
And they'll fit them for you and post it to you.
Also with pickups, there's so many amazing pickups over here,
It's incredible.
boutique pickup.
You've got heaps in England.
So, we just put Porter's up there because we know him and we
He's a good guy.
sell them. So,
good pickup maker.
Yeah, so you can change out those things and it'll change your guitar.